forgive the audio. My mic is dead. I didn't charge it for a couple days, and I guess I figured if I didn't use it, the battery wouldn't die, but obviously that was incorrect. So we are headed to the gym. Oh, why you say? Okay, well, because cardio. Waiting for all these cars. It's plugged in. Actually, I'm gonna do this. One moment, guys. I'm gonna make sure it's actually charging. There we go. Now it's charging. So yeah, you just got to deal with a momentary lapse of audio incapabilities. This drive talk, or I guess what would these be called? Drive talks. You know, my car banter, we'll call these our pre-lift dialogue. So our pre-lift dialogue, actually it's not a pre-lift dialogue because we already worked out today. So yeah, this is gonna be a cardio talk. So I'm gonna talk about the cardio I'm gonna do on the way to doing cardio. And then when I'm doing the cardio, I'm gonna talk about the lift that I did this morning with one of my counterparts. So me and one of my homies hit back and rear delts today. And absolutely, keep in mind, I didn't go to sleep last night until about 6 a.m. Helped one of my buddies with one of his, he's a real estate investor. He has a rental property, you know, out in this area. And I was up helping him last night with some remodeling stuff until about a little after midnight. And we had the Ghost Energy phase pops at about 11 p.m. We finished those things off, 11:30. So I literally went back and I couldn't fall asleep till like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I physically saw 6 a.m. on my phone. And then my alarm went off at 8:30, so 2.5 hours later. And I was fighting myself. I was going to text him saying, I'm not going to go. But last night, in preparation for today's back day, knowing as an enlightened, I guess you could say, bodybuilding enthusiast, I knew that today was going to be a intense back day. Back's probably my favorite day to train. I had 2 packs of ramen last night, but with like only one of the sauce or the powders, not both. So I was still in my macros because obviously you guys know I'm cutting. Whatever, I don't remember what day I'm on. But as an update, cut's going great. You might be able to see a little bit of leanness, especially in this region. I was down 4.5 pounds my first week, so last week, and an additional 3 pounds this week. So I had a new low weigh-in yesterday on Friday, the 11th. So I am down 7.5 pounds from working with this nutritionist, which has been good. So cardio, not much to talk about. We're gonna do just the hopefully this thing charges enough that I can just get a little bit of, you know, banter, I guess, with you guys, so I can discuss today's back day. It was I didn't do biceps, so tomorrow's a rest day, and as you guys know, I don't rest. I'm going to train legs with that same friend who is in the same category as me, which I like. And there's certain lifts that I'm stronger than him at and certain lifts that he's stronger than me at. I think it's imperative to train with somebody who's of equal or maybe slightly more strength than you, or maybe their workout a little more intense than you or whatever, to push yourself. If you work out with somebody who you're like kind of just lollygagging throughout the workouts with, like when we're in high school, right? When we're in high school, we're all in the bro split of like chest days Monday, then back, then shoulders, then abs, then legs, you know, and every muscle group once a week. And it's just too much recovery, right? So I don't want to get on the recovery tangent because that's going to send me off a spiraling, I guess you could say tangent if I didn't use that word already. But sorry again for the lack of audio. About to be at the gym. So today's cardio session is going to be, I mean, cardio's not that fucking complicated. It's going to be 30 minutes to 45 minutes on the treadmill, and that's going to be it. Now, a pet peeve of mine that I have is like, why drive to the gym to then walk at the gym and then drive back home when you could have just walked at your home? Well, you guys know I just moved back to Ohio 2 weeks ago today, 2 Saturdays ago today. So it's my 14th day back. So let's think. Yeah, so I guess if I'm, you know, using the math, I should be at day 12 or so of the cut, the official cut. First couple of days when I was traveling, I wasn't really tracking. So it was that first Monday that I was back. I think yeah, it was August 1st. I think today's day 12 of the cut. So I basically lost 7.5 pounds in 12 days, which is a little high. So next week, when I do my next weigh-in, and this is something for you guys to keep in mind too, you don't want to lose too much weight too quickly. You don't want to go from having 4,600 calories a day down to 2,500, drop 2,000 calories in a day, or you know, like that in a day, literally, and you lose like 6 pounds, then 3 pounds. That's just, it's unsustainable. We want to lose weight. We want to maintain and regulate our blood sugar to keep it consistent. This guy is walking to the gym, so shout out to him. He's getting his cardio in right now, but it's a good, like, imagine if you're gonna go cut into a steak with a dull knife, right? Imagine going to a steakhouse, right? And before you cut the steak, you dull the knife, and then you try cutting into the steak. It just doesn't make any sense. That's how I feel. Doing like 3 to 5 minutes of cardio, you know, 5 or so minutes of cardio before your lift, just to get, you know, warmed up, get the blood flow, get some of the, you know, the pre-workout and the beta alanine flowing through your body. Okay, that's understandable, but I'm not trying to do a 30 to 60 minute cardio session before my lift. I'm just taking away and exerting energy and depleting my glycogen, and which is carbs, right? Carbohydrates breaks down as glycogen in your body, and it's moved throughout your body as glucose, but they're all the same thing, right? So more specifically, if you're training like let's say your chest, I talked about this in many of my previous videos, but your intramuscular glycogen, or your intramuscular carbs, or the basic way to say it is the energy in your muscles, the more that you deplete that before you go and actually train it directly. And of course, this is in like if we're talking in the context of becoming a, you know, muscle building bodybuilder, or bodybuilder, I guess you could say, in bodybuilding context, or, you know, whatever, trying to grow muscle or strength, you don't want to deplete the muscle group and drain your energy before you even, you know, start your first exercise. You might think, oh, well, no, I get warmed up and it's my first lift, but no, you're going to be significantly weaker. That energy is going to have exerted, which, you know, whatever. I know some people have to do cardio because they can't go to the gym twice a day and they have busy schedules. I have, obviously, you know, everybody has their own shit to do, but I have a little more flexibility. So, you know, sometimes I do cardio in the morning, sometimes I'll do it after my lift. Like this, for example, today worked out around 9:30. We hit back. I come back now at 5 o'clock almost. So, you know, we got done at exactly at 11 a.m. So we're talking, you know, 6 hours or so later. Had enough time to recover. Got my hair cut. Got a meal in. Looked at some property, whatever, and now we're back to do cardio. So, yeah, there's nothing much to talk about. Once we get in the gym, I'm pulling in now. We're going to discuss the insane back day that I had earlier, and I'll throw you guys a bone to hopefully enlighten your next back day in terms of increasing the odds of you activating the muscle correctly. So next audio clip, or the next clip, is going to have much better audio, because this thing, I'll probably sit here on my phone for a little bit, let that charge, and then yeah, we're going to go hit, maybe not in the treadmill, I might just go hit like the bike or elliptical or something, and just we'll talk about the back day. All right, so the audio should be better, even though the angle's worse, but you guys can see that new oh, my beard line. Yeah, so first and foremost, I have a really unique setup right now. Got the freaking Rode mic over here. I don't want to bring my stand in and have it set up in the corner, so I'm just off here in the corner of the gym overviewing my palace of, you know, that guy has big quads, but outside of him, these are sort of my, I don't know, I guess you could call them my children. But let's get into this back day. So today's back day was intense. Again, like I talked about earlier, it's kind of nice to have someone to, you know, work out with who's of your same caliber. I don't mean size, I don't mean just strength, I don't mean intensity, I mean all of it. Someone who's, you know, and it's not the best angle, but it's what you guys got to work with. You know, I can show you the side here. You know, I'll give you some side profile, do some reverse, you know, switch it up a bit, but hopefully audio must obviously be way better now. But anyways, someone who's, you know, you're similar in your strength, maybe a little bit stronger, same intensity, same kind of focus, similar training style. Now, don't get me wrong, it's good. We're going to do 30 minutes of cardio, but I'll only do a little bit of this, just so you guys can have some fun tips and I can track more my progress and that sort of thing. What was I going to say? But, you know, there's a, you know, an aspect or an element of, you know, training with somebody who maybe has a different style of training, or they know different styles of training, or they're open to new styles of training, you know, so you can have that variability. So you're not doing the same shit every day for 5 years like most people do. You know, I moved away. That guy slams his weights. I moved to downtown Cleveland, like signed a lease end of 2017, so like 2018. So spent about 3 or 4 years in downtown Cleveland, away from my hometown, and then 2.5 years in Florida, obviously away from my hometown. So, you know, that's about, let's just say, call it 6 years of, oh shit, let's see what, that's my janky, this is the receiving end of what you guys are hearing, plugged into the bottom of my Apple iPhone 14. But anyways, you know, 6 years or so of being away from, I'm gonna up the speed a little bit, of being away from this, you know, my home gym. So now coming back, I see a lot of the same people that look the same, they train the same. Looks like the strength is, you know, within range, within reason. But, you know, that can be due to a lack of variability, a lack of switching it up, right? Rich Piana always said, you got to shock the muscle. You know, go in there one day, go to the gym on a, you know, a pull day or a push day, and just go have a 3-hour bicep workout. You know, just switch it up every so often. You know, have a routine you're following that's consistent, and, you know, that sort of thing. But when it comes to a training partner, find someone who's versatile. You know, so I'm very versatile. I go a lot off of feel, but I also like to go off of making sure I'm tracking progress enough to actually, you know, document progress and gains, and not just think that I'm getting stronger. You know, oh, well, my bench went up 50 pounds, or, you know, whatever. So anyways, the friend that I trained with today checks off all those criteria, all those boxes. I'm a big advocate of, like, efficiency in the gym. So, you know, training with somebody who's the same strength, you got to think, if we just think about how long it takes to take a plate off, put a lighter plate on, take a plate off, put a lighter plate on, let's just say it takes an extra 20 seconds, you know, per set. If you're doing 11 sets or 10, let's just say 10 sets, that's an extra 200 seconds. That's an extra 60, 120, that's an extra 3 or 4 minutes per exercise. If you're doing 4 exercises, there's an extra, you know, 15 to 25 minutes of just wasted time from swapping out weights, you know? So just, there is some truth to that. Now, of course, you want to encourage, and doesn't even matter. It's not the back day. Let's get into the back day. So start off the back day as any, you know, logical width enthusiast would say, heavy bent over barbell rows. What's a better movement for building that thickness and those knobs in the upper back than heavy bent over barbell rows? And I wish this was a better angle. I want to show you guys a little bit of maybe a little bit of this. It's not as good, especially for those of you watching on a desktop. I don't got too much time to bullshit here because this fucking battery's probably gonna die, because I only charged it for the 5 minutes that took me to drive here. But anyways, heavy bent over barbell rows. I don't want these to turn into vlogs, but because one of my character defects of lack of direction in my conversations, I always end up talking about the wrong thing. So anyways, when doing heavy bent over barbell rows, you don't want to bend over to a complete 90 degree, but you also want to refrain from standing too far up, right? So I don't have to explain that. You guys know what 90 degrees is. So you don't want to be completely bent, like, because your hips are basically the pivot point, right? And if you understand the way that tension and pressure works, the pressure and the tension is going to be heaviest at the pivot point. So that if you're at 90 degree like this, you're going to have a lot of pressure on your lower back. And we're not trying to train, or we're not trying to engage our spinal erectors, you know, and our exterior, or our adductors and the outer part of our hip, and getting our hamstrings and glutes engaged to hold the freaking weight, right? And if you guys hear background noise and weights and music, I just call that a gym playlist, you know? So just, you can let that be what it is. But, you know, but on the converse side, right? You don't want to be standing at a freaking vertical, because then you're basically doing upright rows. Now, an upright row is this sort of movement where you're focusing on, you know, your anterior and lateral head of your delt, which is the front and the side, with a little bit of trap activation in there if you're doing a little bit too heavy, and you know, your overhand grip and such. But ended up doing, I think, 4 or 5 working sets. We did 225 for 3 sets of 10-ish, and then we did our 4th set of, it was a drop set, so 225, strip a plate, and then burn out with just 135. After that, really a taxing exercise, because you know, you got to think, most people can't even squat 225. So if you're bent over barbell rowing that, you got to put a lot of exertion into maintaining proper form, the full stretch and the full squeeze, and maybe a 60 to 70 degree angle would be optimal to really engage the upper lats, and that thickness, that meaty part kind of between your shoulder blades, which is more effectively known as your traps and your rhomboids, as well as your rear delts. Then after that, we went on to heavy lat pull downs, but we did the unilateral grip. So same movement, you're pulling from above your head to your chest, but with the unilateral machine, basically the cables themselves move independent of each other. That can also help with correcting any muscle imbalances. You know, maybe one side is a little sore, you slept on it wrong. Maybe you don't even, like maybe you don't have a muscle imbalance. Maybe you just slept on one of your sides wrong, or you know, if you spent the day before working on something, you know, so you can overcompensate one side more than the other. Unilateral movements, uni meaning one, I think it's Latin for one, and lateral meaning side, one-sided. So you're basically able to have the same exertion from both arms, right? So if you are doing, let's just say, a straight cable row with a straight bar, and you're overcompensating one side, you're not really going to know, because the other side, maybe it's, you know, 60% right arm, 40% left arm, or sorry, yeah, 60-40, and you're maybe a little bit crooked, you don't feel it, but when you're using unilateral, one side's going to give out way before the other. That's how you can kind of start to correct that. So anyways, we did lat pull downs, but it was unilateral. Really good squeeze, you're able to kind of switch up the grip. When you're doing an overhand grip like this, you can only pull so close to the side of your body. When you spin the wrist this way and you kind of put your bicep and your forearm have, let's say, a one-way interaction, you're able to really squeeze that fucking lat at the bottom of the movement to really just shove the blood in the muscle. And then of course you're going to a full extension on the top of the movement to really stretch out the muscle and get those muscle fibers tear down. We sat there for 3 or 5 sets, threw the whole, no, we didn't throw the whole stack around. What were we throwing around? We threw around a vast majority of the stack for about 10 to 15 reps per set. Really trying to get that squeeze, you know. Kept it heavy the whole time. So if you keep the same weight, you shouldn't be able to hit 4 sets of 10 with the same weight. If you're truly going hard, your first set should be 10 to 12 reps. Set 2, maybe 10, maybe 11. Set 3, probably 9 or 10. And your last set, your burnout set, maybe you get 7 or 8 reps, because you're going hard. Intensity's high each set. So sorry if the music's loud, I'm kind of by a speaker, but hope this video doesn't get copyrighted. But anyways, you know, it can be really helpful when training to keep an eye on your intensity. Because again, if you're focusing on trying to put on muscle and get stronger, which there's really no other reason that you'd be in the gym other than those two exclusively, unless you're there to just, you know, pick someone to go talk to, and at that point you might as well just get on the phone. But they should turn that music down. Anyways, you know, whatever. So a few sets of that. Just keep in mind, if you're doing 4 sets of something, you shouldn't do 4 sets of 10 to 12. You should do 4 sets of like 8 to 15. You know, so in the beginning, your first set, when you're stronger, not as taxed, not as energy evaporated as you may be towards the latter sets, you know, your first set, you might get 14, 15 reps. But if you're getting 14 reps for 4 sets, you're not training hard enough. Or the weight's not heavy enough. I mean, it's just simple logic. It's not complicated. Then, after that, one of my favorite Latin specific movements that really just isolates the lats is the straight arm pull downs. Not to be confused with the actual lat pull down. The straight arm pull down is where you're doing, you know, sort of that movement. You keep your arm straight and you're squeezing the lat. It's more of an advanced movement because if you don't really have the muscle belly and the mind-muscle connection that comes with, you know, training and time, you might not feel it that much in your lats. But that movement is good because you get a nasty stretch, completely vertical. Arms are above your head. You stretch the fuck out of the lats, and then you can get that nice squeeze and just completely. It's a good burnout exercise. I wouldn't maybe to do a set or two of in the beginning of your lift to warm the lats up, but it's not really a movement you're gonna do to, you know, you're not gonna. I mean, we were doing I think the whole stack, if not almost the whole stack, but we used the V bar basically, or the easy curl bar. What that allowed us to do was have a hand grip more or less like this, right? The easy curl bar kind of moves like that, right? It's like a W bar. Some people call it this, some people call it that. Basically, imagine getting a straight bar, just pushing it together and the way that it kind of curves. But by having that curvature, you know, you're able to kind of pull past the plane of your body. And, you know, when you pull past the plane of your body, that's when you get to a full contraction. So finish off lats with that. Then we moved on to rear delts. Simple crossbody cables. You know, there's a machine that we have here. You guys can probably assume you're just grabbing a cable here. Here, the cables are actually crossing, and then you're pulling back, and it just burns the shit out of your rear delts. I don't know, we sat there for 5 or 6 sets, nothing less than 15 reps. And then we finished off with he wanted to hit some upper back. I normally wouldn't go back to back after hitting rear delts. I would just finish off with rear delts and call it a day. But he wanted to go get some trap and rhomboid activation. So we went over and did a rowing machine, a few sets, throw some weight around, and then afterwards we finish off with traps, which again, neither him or I ever really exclusively trained traps, but you know, today called for different, you know, ingredients to, you know, elicit a wild Al Yankovic style pump. You know, I mean, I'll tell you, that last set of shrugs, both of us, him and I agreed, our lats and our backs, I was trying to say, our backs were no longer fully pumped, but we went into the back locker room. I threw my shirt on the ground, and, you know, he mentioned the sight of a Christmas tree. He thought Christmas was coming a little bit early in my lower back. And even now at a higher body fat percentage, you can maybe be a little uncomfortable to take your shirt off, but who gives a fuck? We're all here to get better, to get stronger, to, you know, get better all the way around, whether it's in a bulking phase, a cutting, you know, scenario. Maybe you're trying to put on pack muscle and you're early in your lifting career. Maybe you're just trying to maintain because you're a veteran. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. We're all here trying to get better. So never judge anybody in the gym. And if you do, you should probably get your membership revoked. So yeah, that was a successful back day. Last night, in order to prepare for a back day, it's a bigger muscle group. You got to think your back doesn't just include your back. It's not just all my muscle is my back. That includes your spinal erectors. That includes your lat, your upper and lower lat. That includes your teres minor or some shit like that. That includes your rear delts. That includes your rhomboids. That includes your traps. There's a lot of big, long, stretched out muscle bellies to really effectively, you know, train when hitting back. So for a muscle group like that, make sure that you're eating a lot the day before or the evening before. If you just wake up and try to slam 15 flapjacks and 2 cups of white rice, yeah, you're gonna get a good pump more than likely, but you need time for those carbohydrates to assimilate into your, you know, your muscle bellies. So in order to get, you know, rice or any sort of form of carb, whether it's a simple or complex carb, to get into your muscle bellies and assimilate and absorb into the body to actually give you the energy to go and completely annihilate. Because again, we're not just coming to gym to get a pump. You know, I think is a pump a signifier of intensity? You know, sure, we can agree on that. But fatigue and the inability to push past another rep is more or less the sign of training hard. So don't just eat a quick little whatever in the morning, a couple fucking whatevers to get a good pump. Have a little bit of protein the night before, maybe stock up on some carbs, maybe eat your carbs later in the day before a leg day or a back day. Also helps with your strength. So yeah, I got about 13 more minutes of cardio, and then I'm gonna go fool around in the tanning bed. Actually, and I'm not gonna fool around, that sounded weird. I'm gonna go, spend 10 minutes in there in complete isolation, and I'm gonna think about tomorrow's lift, which is a rest day. So what does that mean for me in this channel? Well, we're gonna hit biceps. We're gonna train, we're gonna do cardio tomorrow, of course, because we're in the cutting scene, or we're more so in the cutting season of life. And wow, anyways, damn. Anyways, my train went off the tracks just there. What was I trying to say? Oh yeah, rest day. We're gonna do cardio because we're in that next phase of physique, sculpting, which is me having to cut. And I've noticed some strength going down a little bit. I think that's because of not eating enough before my lifts. So that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna be cardio and then biceps, because I normally hit biceps today on back day. My friend, I apparently incarcerated his arms yesterday. Ergo, we didn't hit biceps today. So tomorrow's my rest day. I always find something to hit on a rest day. Yeah, cardio and biceps tomorrow. Maybe I film it, maybe I don't. But I don't know. We might have a post-workout, recital in the car on the way home. But I guess you guys will find out if this is the last clip or not. Okay, so what's that? Here's fucking. Look at that. There you guys are. So you can see I'm obviously looking a little bit leaner, a little bit better. Oh wait, that'll do. That'll do. So we are post cardio. Now I want to just talk a little bit about cardio. I'm actually driving to go get some phase pops for my smaller friend who's significantly smaller than me and has about 20% less muscle mass than me. He's also a bottom. Anyways, about to swing over to his house to do some whatevers. So let's keep this relatively brief. So cardio is really not even going to require that much of an explanation on what to do, how to do, etc., etc. All I'm going to say is kind of going along the lines of Rich Piana's Bigger by the Day. You want to do cardio in almost, I'll just say like in any phase that you're in. If you're in a cutting phase, if you're in a bulking phase, if you're in a maintenance phase, consistently doing cardio, people think, I'm bulking, like a dirty bulk, they call it. I'm bulking now, time to eat like shit, stop doing cardio, and drink all my calories. That's not what that should be, right? Now, is there a time and place for that? I don't know, maybe. I went through that phase. I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. But when it comes to cardio, the only thing that's really going to change is the intensity and the frequency of your cardio. So if you are in a bulking phase, 30 minutes a day, 20, 30 minutes a day of some steady state cardio, plenty. If you're in a cutting phase, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, a little higher intensity, but nonetheless, steady state cardio. And then if you're in a maintenance phase, maybe 3-4 times a week you're doing some cardio. Basically, the key to cardio is you have to understand your caloric maintenance. So this isn't rocket science, but you do have, because gaining weight, losing weight, maintaining your weight is really just calories in versus calories out, right? Once you start to get lean enough, you might want to start dialing it in. At that point, you'd want to introduce like macros and your protein, fats, and your carbs, and your micros, like your fibers and those sorts of things, and your sodium, and you start to track all that stuff and get, you're even tracking your freaking peppers and the sauces that you're using in your entrees. Make sure this thing's still fucking blue. But yeah, so that's really where you guys want to go. Just make sure it's still connected. Yeah, we're still live. If the audio cuts out, then the audio cuts out, and you guys are just gonna watch me mouth the rest. But yeah. So anyways, you want to find your maintenance. And again, I talked about this in a previous video, so I don't want to over-explain myself, but your maintenance is just how many calories you have per day to maintain your current weight. A caloric deficit is when you are in a deficit of that, meaning you're going to probably lose weight. And then a caloric surplus is you are in a surplus of that, which means you're probably going to gain weight. So once you know those three things, then you have to start I keep saying introducing, I overuse that word. You have to start to understand how calories cardio plays a part in that. So if your caloric maintenance is, okay, I'm going to just have 2,000 calories a day, and I'm going to maintain my current weight of, let's say, 230. Even though, okay, let's say 2,500 calories a day, and I'm going to maintain my current weight of 230. Right, I'm 232.8. That was my most recent weigh-in. Again, down 7.5 pounds. That's I'm passing the apartment homes, and I'm going to be touring the luxury apartment homes. They got garages, multiple floors. So I tour them on like Monday or Tuesday. Got a fire pit, hot tub, pool. Not too bad. Anyways, that's a cop, and I'm going 40. Hopefully he doesn't care. But anyways, if 2,500 calories a day allows me to maintain my current weight of 232, if I am just, let's say, doing 200 calories worth of cardio per day, so let's say 30 minutes on the elliptical, or 20 minutes on the bike, or 15 minutes on the treadmill on an incline, whatever, I'm going to be still consuming 2,500 calories a day, but since I'm burning those 200, I'm now only going to be really maintaining or holding on to 2,300. So I'm now putting myself in a deficit, not because I'm eating less, because I'm doing more cardio. So I'm burning a lot of those calories that I'm eating. So now that, I'm going into what they call like a dieting phase, or a, I guess that's really the only word you could use, I guess, is my next phase is my diet phase. Now that same example, 2,500 calories a day. Let's say that that light was also red. The cop has two reasons to get me. But let's say that you're at 2,500 a day, and you're doing, let's say, X amount of calories per day of cardio, and then you stop doing the cardio. You're now, let's say I'm eating 2,700 calories a day, right? But I'm doing those same 200 calories worth of cardio, so I'm at 2,500, which is my maintenance. I'm maintaining my weight. I'm trying to talk fast here. If I stop doing that cardio, I'm still eating the same, but I'm not burning it off the way that I was. So now I'm going to be in a surplus at the end of the day, and I'm going to start to gain weight, right? So just keep an eye. It's not fucking rocket science. It's calories in versus calories out, meaning how much calories are you consuming, and then how many are going out. And once you find your maintenance, cutting weight, gaining weight, all that stuff just becomes literally a numerical game of just plugging and playing different numbers. So, my caloric maintenance is X, is 2,000. I want to gain weight, eat more than that. I want to lose weight, eat less than that. If I don't want to eat less, then I'm going to do more cardio. If I don't want to eat more, I'll do less cardio, right? But the overarching consensus from a health perspective, because again, we're doing this for longevity, not just to get jacked for a couple years and then just, rot away to nothing, is consistently doing cardio throughout the early stages of your career, the first few chapters, the pinnacle or the climax of your career, however long that may be, and then on your decline, on your way out. You want to always be doing cardio. It's going to help your cardiovascular system, aka your heart, your nerve, or your veins, your intravascular system, or whatever the hell it's called, but mainly your heart. You want to keep healthy, and that's going to be done through cardiovascular work, and not eating like shit. If you're filling your body with processed fast food and just slamming sodas all the time. I went through that phase, 4 or 5 years ago, where my diet was just literal garbage. Like right around COVID, I was just eating so bad, and I wasn't training as optimally as I should. So because of that, I don't have a pump by any means, but I'm just trying to get you guys like a little, a car shot even. That was my elbow. But yeah, so anyways, that person's next to me. I hope they're not looking at me like I'm some sort of jackass. I'm literally, imagine pulling up and seeing a dude look like me. He's all tatted, looks like he just got out of freaking prison, flexing his tricep in his freaking car in front of a camera, and you're kind of, let's say, approaching the corner view like he is. Let me make sure that this is still live. Yeah, somehow, some way, this better hasn't died yet. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. That's all I gotta say about cardio. Pick something that works and then just stick with it consistently. For me, walking on the treadmill for 30 minutes, it does the job. I burn the calories, I get that momentum, and what you want to do is, by eating kind of 3, 4, 5 meals a day and getting that cardio in, you're basically going to regulate your blood sugar levels, like I mentioned in the beginning, keep your metabolism kind of going throughout the day. Just helps with fat loss, overall heart health. Wouldn't say it's gonna, it's noticeable. It's noticeable, right? It's not negligible, I would say. It's the opposite of negligible, which is noticeable. Meaning, if you don't do cardio, if you compare two people who are the same size, same shape, same muscle size, eating the same thing, training the same way, everything's identical. The one person's doing cardio and the other one's not. You're gonna notice a significant difference in how their physique appears, their energy levels, their mood, all of those things. Like I see people who get winded carrying the 50s over to do some shoulder press. First off, they're only using the 50s. And second off, just that walk back and forth. Now, if you're throwing around the hundreds, like, and beyond, like myself and various other stronger, weight movers that can pick up heavier weight and move them rapidly for more times than somebody else, throwing around the hundreds, okay, getting a little bit winded, a little bit sweaty from throwing around, carrying those hundreds back and forth from one side of the rack to the other. If one of the benches near where the hundreds are kind of racked at is occupied, you got to go towards like maybe the 15s or the 20s, and you got to carry that fucking dumbbell or both dumbbells. Maybe you're making 2 trips. That can impact your set. That can make you a little drained, but it's respectable because you're throwing around the hundreds. But if you're getting winded carrying the 40s, it's probably pretty evident. Probably obvious evidence that you're not doing your cardio, or at least enough of it. So that's all I gotta say. This is 10 minutes post gym, post cardio talk. It's unnecessary how long that this was. There should be no reason that cardio in any form should take more than 3 minutes to explain. But of course, I want to entertain myself and occupy my time when I'm driving, as well as maybe, I don't know, introduce some entertainment into your guys' lives if it may lean more towards the mundane side of things. Or I'm just talking to myself and I'm here for the ride, which is the likely answer. So yeah, tonight I'm going to slam some, I don't know what I'm going to slam. I got 1,200 calories left, good amount of protein to hit. I think my buddy and I are going to go get some Mexican, I don't know. We're going to do a physique check here probably in the coming weeks. I wanted to get 10, 15 pounds down since my last, physique check. So there's some noticeable gains, but yeah, let's just end this talk now.